Hello.
Hello.
I want to show Mr. J what I've been planting in the forest garden, so I thought I'd bring you with us. And so today it's a food forest garden tour. I'm Liz Zorab.
I'm Mr. J.
And this is Byther Farm. So it's been a while
since
we've done a tour, and loads has changed.
Yes.
And loads has changed since you last came and looked a couple of days ago. We decided that to put these wooden edges around all of the beds so that when strimming is being done, we know where we're going up to. We've got an edge to go up to.
That's because I'm very good at killing things without borders.
Yeah. And so this has been a mammoth task to do this.
Yes, it has.
And I'm not going to say that I've enjoyed it, but I am really pleased it's done. So there's a whole combination of beds at the moment. Some of them have just got that lovely cornstarch membrane on them that will break down in the next 3 years. Yeah. Some of them have got wood chips with them planting pockets of compost, and some of them have got they're covered in compost. So it's a bit of a combination depending on at what point I did it, whether it was before or after we brought in that compost. Yeah. So, should we just do a kind of quick walk up and down, because there's now so many plants, we won't have time to go through like everything. No.
Either that or you're going to have to put this at double speed.
I'm really pleased that we've now got a load of peonies dotted around. So peonies, that's a lilac, so that will eventually get really big.
Well, we need some height.
We need some big stuff to make a statement, because it's quite a big space in terms of length. And so, but the other thing I wanted is I want not only edibles in here, but masses of colour. And ornamentals are my first love. So loads of irises in there, and then phlox. So lots of little plants that are just going to get bigger and bigger widthways as time goes on. So there's phlox over there. There's these irises, which you can see I've already divided up and separated the clumps out so that they'll fill out a bigger space.
It's a good job you told me those were irises, because the leaves on them look suspiciously grass-like, and if I was strimming I'd just go
Yeah, so those are irises. And then this is lemon balm, so this came from your mum's house. So there's several chunks of that around.
Oh, yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this week I've been reading or watching information about lemon balm, that if you make an infusion of it, so a bunch of it in some boiling water, allow that to steep for a while, it's really good for calming you.
Oh, okay.
It's actually proven to calm you.
Okay.
Nice.
Balm for the soul, I suppose.
Balm for calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balm for calm. Quick trademark. Is it any good for hay fever? Because mine is. I'm definitely getting the old itch in the eye.
Oh, when you get itchy eyes, you'll need to put sunglasses on. Yeah. Don't have to get too itchy. So then that's a rhubarb that we brought with us.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's not happy there, because it would have done, otherwise it would have done like really big fat stems. But I don't know whether it's not happy there or it's not happy because it moved. So
is what you're saying, is it generally unhappy, or is it just unhappy in its position?
Yeah, I don't think it's got depression. I think it's unhappy in its position. And I just don't know what to do, because if I lift it and move it again,
it could get even more depressed.
I've disturbed it yet again. And then here, in these pots, you can have one. Ta-da! So these came from a local resident in our previous home.
Okay.
Who gave us these as tiny, weeny little plants.
Are these things to come out?
So the grasses can come out. So these are hazel trees.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So will eventually give us hazelnuts, but it's the copper variety rather than a green leaf variety. They're gorgeous, aren't they?
Yes.
I love this colour.
And I like hazelnuts, but you can't eat them.
No, I know, but I'm so pleased with these. So we've got 3 of these. One's already in the ground over there. A couple more to go in here.
Yeah.
And then we can cut them and keep them so they can become like a mound rather than a very tall tree. And then we'll keep getting lots of this really nice young purpley growth.
Hazelnut mound sounds like a new estate.
Fortescue Fields. That made you snort. And I'm delighted to say that my new book, The Seasoned Gardener, is now available in America. You can order it at Chelsea Green, on Amazon.com, and also you find it in all good bookstores. It's a celebration of the seasons and our relationship with nature. It's a guide to help you to think about what you want to grow, what you want to harvest in your garden. And it also describes my personal year-long journey and relationship with nature, and it celebrates some of the things that I find most exciting. And then this bed is nearly all ornamental.
Okay.
Except we've got a cherry tree there.
Oh, yeah, and there's a couple of cherries.
With little cherries on it. So this is the Stella, and this is the same sort of tree that we had at the old house that grew really wide.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then it was just got covered in blossoms and covered in cherries.
Yeah, and then we had to fight our way around it.
And we had to fight our way around it. So the idea was with these beds is everything is now far enough apart that although it will come across the edge of the bed, there'll be less risk of things hitting us in the face all the time. So there's lupins.
That was that one the birds particularly like? I mean, the birds like all of them. Was that one we could eat, or was that one that was just for the birds?
Oh no, that was the one that we could eat. And then I froze and I canned about 60 pounds of cherries in the year. I think that was the 4th year that we were there.
Right.
And we planted that tree. That was one that was £4.75 from a supermarket. It was.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So we went out and we just bought a whole load of trees that were
yeah.
sort of this height, weren't they? And we haven't been able. I haven't found many of those since we've been here. So I've been getting the majority of our fruit trees are from direct plants.
Right.
And most of them I've bought, and then some of them they've gifted to us as well, which has been absolutely amazing because basically pretty much all the trees in this area are from that one place because I love the quality of them.
Yes.
And so here we go. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it does sound like an advert, and in some ways it is. But then, I actually really like I really like the quality of their plants. So yeah, all good. And then everything else here is, so there's some more phlox, so it's a kind of a repeat of what's down there. And then some lupins. These ones I've moved from the veg garden from last year.
Right.
And brought them up. So that one's struggling a bit with the water.
Yeah.
And it's actually planted in different compost to this.
Right.
Can you see? And it's really wilting, so I need to sort of give it some better
Although
compost.
it's got more flowers on it than that one has.
Yes. Although
that one has as well. So
is that one flowering because it's desperate to reproduce before it dies? I don't know. Anyway, I will get some different compost on it. But edibles here are so the cherry tree, and then that's a honeyberry.
all right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then along the back, I've started putting in some bamboos.
Right.
Not edible.
No. Well, not unless you're a panda.
And clump forming rather than running ones, so they're not going to take over.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to start doing some more windbreak.
Yeah, and again,
So-
it's giving things a different depth.
Yes.
Because
different height, different depth.
Different height, different depth.
So in this bed, I haven't got any compost in it, or a couple of bits.
Well, it's
anyway.
pockets, yeah.
Pockets. And again, it's going to be that mixture, but it's probably more edible stuff in here, although we might not necessarily eat it.
So what you mean, it's edible for animals, or?
Well, no, it is edible, but we might not.
Okay.
So this is called Solomon's Seal, and it's also called poor man's asparagus. So when the shoots first come up in spring, you can harvest them just like you would asparagus. Okay. So they are edible. These flowers pretty. They just dangle down like little bells.
Yeah.
So that will, and it's clump forming. So
And of course, you know the way my mind works. You say Solomon's Seal, I think that sounds like a soul singer. And then poor man's asparagus be his first album.
And then going in a row across there. So I'm trying to put stuff in quite big swathes or clumps. Or if it's rather than in a straight row going that way, they might be diagonally across the bed.
So none of this military precision that you see in some gardens?
No,
Thank
not
goodness
military
for that.
precision. I can't even say it, not military precision. So this is a daylily.
Okay.
A bit tatty. It's been eaten by a slug or three. But the flowers are edible, and The roots are edible of some varieties.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether this is one of those varieties.
Okay.
Oh, look, if you hold that, I don't know whether that's a bit of this or that's a bit of couch grass. So I will do a bit of investigating before I plant these. But anyway, so I dug up a really big clump that had been in here previously before we put the edging and everything on. And I've split it. So that should look really nice, and they'll pick up really quickly once we've got the compost in here.
And you want me to take that back to be examined under the microscope?
Oh, do you know what? I'll put it in my pocket just in case.
Yeah.
It's an unwanted root of something.
Yep.
And then another peony because I love them, and lupins because I love them. And then this is lovage. So this will form a bigger clump, but also it will get really tall.
And that spreads quite well, doesn't it, lovage?
Yeah, so it becomes, rather than this little pot, it's going to be 18 inches, 1.5 foot, 2 foot, so 50 to 60 centimetres across. But with a gloved hand, get the oils out of that, and you should. I hate the smell.
Yeah.
I said I hate the smell.
Ooh.
So it's kind of yeasty celery.
It's like a yeasty celery, yeah.
And so I never handle it without gloves. And there is no obvious immediate use for this, but chopped into stock to make soups and stews, it's absolutely fantastic. And very often if you buy powdered bouillon in a supermarket, it will have a really high percentage of, you wouldn't, but when I do, it's got a high percentage of lovage in it. So it smells not nice, and I think the smell stays on your hands for skin for days, but it's really good for stock.
I don't think I've ever bought powdered bouillon in my life.
Well, yeah.
I probably couldn't pronounce it until I
You've certainly eaten it plenty of times. And then in this top bed, it's a whole mixture of flowers again, and I try to do different seasonal interests and things. But there is an apple tree, so that's one of the Welsh varieties of apples.
Yeah.
There's a label on it. Do you want to see if that's got
anything legible on it?
Anything legible?
Could be Bryn Mawr.
Oh, good. Bryn Mawr, it could be.
No, it's got a T. Is it Brith Mawr, is it perhaps?
Ah, yes. Anyway, that's what it is. It is a Welsh variety of apple. And then there's an iris here. And the root of the iris can make orris powder. That is a globe artichoke.
Okay.
And then in the corner there is a sweet Sicily, which is my favourite herb.
Yeah.
Amongst many favourite herbs.
Yeah.
So it smells of...
It's your favourite herb that you got in your hand at the moment.
So it tastes of aniseed slightly, but is incredibly sweet.
Yeah.
So a little bunch of that in with our rhubarb.
Yeah.
Reduces the amount of sugar you need to use and things. It's edible.
Yeah, probably not when I've got a glove on.
And you'll see how quickly that becomes, it's very sweet.
Yeah.
And then this, do you remember getting this?
Is this one of the things we rammed into the car?
Yes.
And I'm still probably picking bits out of my backside periodically when I'm driving.
So just before we moved here, we were given 4 or 5 of these. But it's grown.
Yeah.
It's grown a good foot or so, or maybe even 2 since we moved here. So I'm pleased about that. A couple of them haven't made it at all. But we got this one into the ground and it's been very happy here.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's almost got a tropical feel to it.
I was looking for the pineapples.
Yeah, well, there we go. It has that kind of feel about it, doesn't it? Right, so then we can just do the next row sort of very quickly.
Okay.
There are 5 beds here.
Yeah.
And 4 of them have got strawberries in them.
Oh, that's easy.
That was easy. One of the things that I've done with the beds is not to put a continuous row all the way down, so that there are pathways to be able to come between
And dump things in.
and dump things. But I've tried to make sure that the pathways aren't opposite each other, so we don't just get a wind tunnel.
Okay.
So this is, these were all the strawberries, except for this bed, which is all ornamentals, except for, there's a little bit of rosemary, and another sweet Cicely.
You do like mixing your herbs with your flowers, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, so this is a completely mixed bed with just stuff I love. So we've got agastache there, which is a something or other mint. I can't remember it. Yeah,
that smells slightly.
It's a licorice mint flavour. Yep. Hosta is edible. You can eat the young shoots and the leaves if you want to. I don't. Is there anything else in here that's edible? Oh, and the daylilies again.
Yeah. And what's this thing with the pink?
Oh, so this is yeah. It's I can't remember. So this is a bistorta type thing that's got another name, and I can't remember the first part of it. But anyway, there's definitely, if you said to someone you were bistorta, they would know what you were talking about. But this came from, well,
I didn't know.
But this came from Mum and Dad's house. So
Okay.
this is a division from Mum and Dad's cottage, and it's spreading, and I love it. So I'm very happy about that. It's pretty.
And I also noticed there's a tree in a pot here.
Yeah, do you want to bring it over? Because I'm not sure where this is going to end up yet, but this is
I thought it was going to be heavier than that.
That's because it's got several pots inside the big pot.
But even so, you know.
Well, you can pop it down. So this is a little Acer, and it's got a label. It's got a label, so it's called Acer Flamingo. And it's got these very slightly, can you see it's got these pink tinge leaves. I suspect this might end up in the veg garden, where it's slightly more sheltered than it is here. But it's another plant that I've bought. So I've bought this one to try and add sort of sense of maturity to the garden. So because I've been so conscious recently of everything feeling very flat, and I'm now thinking, well, some of that is because it was still spring and we've had a very slow spring. So a lot hasn't come up yet, but also I just think we need more vertical accents right across.
A bit more variety to the view.
Yeah.
And of course, yet again, you say Acer Flamingo and I start thinking of songs.
Good.
The other thing is there's some yellow stuff here. Okay, so is this one of our broccolis?
Yes.
Purple sprouting? Go me.
Yeah. So it's purple sprouting broccoli that has now gone to flower.
Right.
But I'm leaving it because it's really good for the bees and other pollinators.
Okay.
So this one is not a... Have I got this the right way around? So this one is not an artichoke. This one is a cardoon. And now I'm saying it, I'm thinking that maybe that was the cardoon, and this is the artichoke. The difference is with the artichoke, you eat the heart of the flower.
Right. And with the cartoon, you watched it on telly when you were a kid.
With a cardoon, with a cardoon, you eat the rib of the leaf.
Okay.
And as the one over there has got a wider rib, I'm thinking maybe that's the cardoon.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's an edible. And then I've got plants in again at right angles to each other, or diagonals, that view. So again, sort of a diagonal across the bed. This is called Joe Pieweed and will eventually grow into a really tall spreading plant. But not right now. So right now it's okay to have other stuff. Chives, yeah. And it's just time now to harvest some of these flowers to make chive vinegar.
You did a video on that.
I did do a video, so I'll link. I'll leave a link on the screen and in the video description too. It's very easy, really simple to make. And we've been eating salad dressing this week, made from the chive vinegar that I made previously.
Right. Okay.
And it's really subtle. I mean, it's not a kind of
it's not. It's not an
overpowering.
It doesn't whack you in the face, is it?
No, it's lovely. So these are the plants whose name has completely gone out of my brain, and I'll put it on the screen. That we picked up from somebody fairly locally.
Oh right, yeah.
Like 3 or 4 weeks
about 3 or 4,
ago.
yeah.
And then it turned out that they had connections near our former home, which shows you what a small world it is. So anyway, they very kindly, they wanted to get rid of them, they very kindly gave them to us. So I'm hoping that these will take. They're looking a bit dried and frazzled around the edges, but I'm hoping they'll survive. Fingers crossed. There's an apple tree there and an angelica there. I love angelica. We had it in the last house, and I always used to say it's one of those plants that goes, look at me! Yeah. It's really lovely. And then there's some pots in the middle of things that won't be in here, but I don't know where to put them quite yet.
But it keeps them out of the way when we're mowing.
When we're mowing. And then there's a collection of pots and things here. And this apple tree, it's actually a crab apple tree, so it does tiny little.
So crab apple
I think
jelly.
these are yellowy, so it's called golden hornet. So it's a yellowy orange, very little, loved by birds.
Yeah, I was going to say that crab apples we've normally grown for the for the wildlife population rather than for our own consumption.
Yes, and that's exactly why I've got it. So, but they are beautiful, and I love having all those like little yellow and orange. So these beds are where I've been working this morning.
Yeah.
I've been getting the weed suppressing membrane down straight on top of the weeds.
Did you chop the weeds? Did you do anything to the weeds,
no,
or
so
you just literally?
That's why it's so
on top?
lumpy,
Yeah.
because it's so the weeds are literally there. Put it on top. They'll break down and feed the ground over time. This is going to take 3 to 4 years to break down. Yeah. It is plastic free. I know people have asked me about this. So it's the plastic free membrane. And then, so all those nutrients will be there for plants to use. And I haven't really worked out yet what's going in here exactly. So I've got sort of one. I've got half a bed or maybe a bed left worth to do just in a strip down the side there.
Yeah.
This though is Lycisteria formosa, or
that's easy for you, so.
or pheasant berry, or Himalayan honeysuckle. It's got loads of different names, and it will get enormous. It will fill as much as we allow it to.
And I'm going to call it Fred.
You're going to call it Fred. That's fine. It has deep maroon bracts with tiny white flowers in, which then become little berries that start off dark red and eventually go black and soft. And when they're black and really soft, they taste almost of caramel.
Oh, nice.
So they are nice, but you do have to be keep coming out and checking to see if and the berries all ripen at different times. So it's not like you can just stand and pick loads of them. But with enough plants, which we've got several of them dotted around, each time we come out we should be able to get enough to be able to do something with.
And it makes them last longer if they all ripen at different times. Anyway.
Absolutely, but the birds love them.
Yeah.
The birds absolutely love them. And then the seeds pass through the birds and you end up with them all over the place, which I really like. So all of these are seedlings that I dug up from our old place and brought with us. Grew on in a pot, so some of them are bigger than others, depending on what size pot they were in and how much I remember to water it. So very pleased. You can see the ends here have been chopped back at some point. I expect that was just me tidying it up. Then there's an apple tree there and a currant or josterberry or chuckleberry
thing.
One of those, yeah. There's a bay tree at the end, so that's a herb bay. And then some comfrey in the middle there. And then over on that side is another lovage.
Right.
And so once I have got the rest of the membrane down and put in some more compost, then I'll plant this up. But behind us, I've already started doing some bits around here.
This pile of pallets have been brought up here to be turned into a compost bin, so that Liz has sources of compost at the top of the hill rather than at the bottom of the hill, which makes it a little bit easier. And is it this weekend coming? You're running a course.
Yep. So this weekend.
So the part of the course is the people here are going to be building a compost bin.
Partly filling it with stuff that they find around. So it's a low-cost gardening course where I look at ways that we can create gardens without it costing loads of money, which is what we had to do at the last place because we didn't have the budget. We've had a little bit of budget here, but we're back to kind of no budget again now. So
Yeah, we've spent the budget.
We've spent the budget, so I'm back to my low-cost gardening again. So these all get given to us. Luckily our neighbour has quite a lot of deliveries. I'm just looking to see whether that's woodworm holes. I think that is. But that'll be okay, it's only compost. So this had, last year this had strawberries and garlic in it.
Okay, yeah. Oh yes, people have got very confused about you having strawberries and garlic.
Yeah. And I did this by laying just paper down on the ground, not a weed suppressing membrane, just a mulching paper, and it's like a single paper. Well, these weeds came because I didn't do anything else, and I didn't come and weed it or anything. The weeds came back up through over the last year, so they created some beds. I've planted, so I've got a tree here.
Yep.
I can't remember what it is, so I'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
And then down the centre here I've got red currants, and they're planted into the ground, and then weed suppressing membrane goes around them, and I'm filling these beds with mint, various different types of mint.
So like as a ground cover, or?
Yes, so it will suppress the weeds, it will hopefully stop other weeds growing. And I love mint. I absolutely love it. So, and that thing of being able to walk around and as you brush past it, you get that lovely mint smell. And it doesn't matter that the mint is going to go out each side of the bed.
It doesn't matter if we run over it with a lawnmower.
Because we'll be going over it with a lawnmower, absolutely. So, so I've started there, and I've done one at the bottom. But I haven't done the two in the middle yet. They are a work in progress.
It isn't everything.
Which actually means kind of no progress at all. But so you can see here, I've already taken some of the strawberries from here. We had a volunteer here for the day a couple of weeks ago.
Well, these are strawberries, aren't they?
Those are strawberries, and so the volunteer helped me lift some of these and move them over there. We've got more strawberry plants than space that I have allocated to strawberries, but I could use them as ground cover. So there's no, I could add them in with the mint.
They're not being wasted.
Put them in any other bed, and they're not going to be wasted. The ones that I'm not using, I will advertise on a local gardening group.
All the local wildlife will help themselves to.
Well, that's true, yes. And then here and there is another sweet Sicily.
Oh, okay.
So I do need to lift those, because I want to lift them and put them on top of the weed suppressing membrane when that comes. So there's still quite a lot to lift before I can put the membrane on it, and that's why I haven't done it, because it's actually quite hard work and it's really hot at the moment, and if I take stuff up it's just going to wilt and die, which I don't want it to do. No. But look, you can see where the flowers have been, and the currants are going to come. Hang down in these little. Yay! We've got red currants already. That's great. There's a couple there, but they're not really doing anything except they are growing at ground level. Whereas that one is growing all the way up. So I have no idea why. They arrived as these two sticks. And some of them are growing up the sticks, and some of them are growing from under the ground. They'll all grow, so I'm quite happy with that. So this is the bottom bed with the two red currants in it. And look, red currants. And in here I've put silver mint, which is like furry. It's very lovely. I like it because it's really tactile. So I thought I'd put it at the... You've got little spiders crawling on your hat.
Okay.
I thought I'd put it at the bottom where we kind of walk through here
Yeah.
most often. In the corner there is a skirret, which has got edible roots, and that is a variety that apparently has bigger, slightly fatter roots than the other skirret we've got.
Okay.
So I'm growing that in a separate place so I don't confuse them.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to tell you about was this tree. So
Oh, it's a tree, is it? I thought it was a bush.
No, this will be a cherry tree.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it's a little cherry bush at the moment. But I dug this up from the garden in our old place. So the birds had eaten a cherry.
Yeah.
It had gone through their system.
Yeah.
Or they'd eaten the fruit and just
Yeah.
the stone had dropped on the floor. Anyway, I dug it up from our old place.
Right.
About literally 8 centimetres, 3 inches, 8 centimetres high. With just 2 or 3 tiny leaves on it.
Yeah. That's doing
Brought
all right.
it, yeah. So I'm really pleased. But what I like about it is how many twigs, branches, shoots it has. So it's going to be like a really full tree. But what we don't know is
what
whether
sort
they're
it is,
edible and what sort it is. And we won't know probably till next year or maybe even the year afterwards. But I have a feeling it's going to fill this space really nicely.
Yeah.
But I'm so pleased to have so many things that remind me of places and people. And it means that the whole garden's kind of really, it's very personal.
Yeah.
It's a really personal, it's like, even that skirret, Mandy at Incredible Vegetables gave me.
Right.
And I was so excited when I heard about it. And she said, well, would you like one? I was like, yes.
Right.
And then the silver mint came from our visit to Byther Farm,
Yeah.
the herb farm. So there's lots of that kind of personal stories behind the plants, which makes it not just a place with a whole load of plants in it, but this whole thing's a story to me.
Okay. So we're standing in the middle of the bed here.
We are, because just looking down it reminds me of the old place where when we walked between the willow tree, twisty willow, and the patron's garden. If we had the polytunnel behind us, so we were walking towards the house, we kind of got really enclosed with plants.
Oh, we used to duck under the stingers and stuff.
But look, that's almost that same feel, and that's what I want. I kind of want that maturity of feeling like we're walking through and amongst things. Now this will be a bed not for walking on, but hopefully the plants that are growing on the beds that side and that side will give us that same kind of secluded feeling. So at the bottom is a rowan tree that we brought with us,
Right.
and a honeyberry, and we were given that by James, who was moving up to Scotland.
Oh, good grief, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
remember how long ago that was? There's
About 7 years ago.
It's quite some time, and that was growing in a pot when we first got it.
Right.
Where did we had that planted in the food forest in a tire.
Yeah.
Picked that up and brought this with. That's a nectarine,
Right.
which had a nectarine on it till I moved it to plant it, and then I knocked it off. But there was one little nectarine. I feel really sad that I knocked that off. It was quite high up. I'm pretty sure that
It's apricot.
Oh, it's not a nectarine at all. It's an apricot. There we go. Wrong name.
Similar fruit.
Similar fruit. There was one on it, and now there isn't. I actually really like the leaves. I like the shape of the leaves. They're almost heart-shaped, aren't they? So that's another one that we got from Direct Plants last year, and I've grown on in a 30-litre tub in the polytunnel, hardened off and brought it out. So it was about 5 foot tall when we got it.
Okay, that's not done too bad then.
So yeah, and it's much fuller now. And this tree is a Worcester pearmain.
Oh, nice.
And this was given to us from my Amazon wish list
Oh, right.
by Dramer.
Thank you, Dramer.
Yeah, so I'm really pleased with this. And it's a variety that, so here's another bit of this story, it's a variety that we've tried. In the old place, there was one year, there was an elderly lady who lived on one of the small holdings, and she swapped apples for runner beans.
Yes, yeah.
And this was the variety of apple that we swapped.
Right.
So, and she was telling us how it was just such an amazing apple and
Yeah.
she loved the taste of it. So I thought, you know, let's have one of those. So yes, and that looks,
I see it's doing all right, that.
it is. I don't think it's produced many flowers this year, but I'm really happy just for it to establish itself.
Yeah.
And not put energy into making apples this year, but to put all its energy into making roots. And then around here there's another currant there, and this is another Acer.
Yeah.
So it's not a productive tree. It's one I love the foliage on it, and it reminds me of a tree that I had in Mum and Dad's garden.
Okay.
So this is a variety called Drummondii. It's just pretty. I think it's pretty. I like the paleness of the leaves. So it's a variegated leaf. So, and then in this top bed,
That's another of those purple hazelnut things, isn't it?
yes, yeah. And I like how it contrasts or
With the chive.
matches with the chives. Yeah. And then that's the biggest of the Lysosteria formosas that we've got. Have to say it because I've learnt the name.
Get you.
So that's the biggest one that we've got here, and I'm hoping that that's going to have like tree-like proportions soon. So that's the top of that row, and I think having got to the edge of the rose arch, maybe we should stop here
Yeah.
and do all of that.
Another time.
And next time,
Yeah.
another time. But if you want to know what our veg garden's looking like, I made a video about a month ago-ish. It's time for another one, isn't it, really? But however, I'll leave a link on the screen. And if you click on that, it'll take you straight through to my most recent veg garden tour.